I'm not going to say, here we are.
What are you going to say?
I quit my job, guys. I quit my job.
And you wanted to come on here and talk about it, so.
I did. It's a really emotional conversation for me to have with the world. I found it so hard to tell my employer. It took weeks, but I've done it.
Why was it so hard? And why did it take weeks? What was going on? People want to know.
Hey guys, before we get into this week's episode, I really want to remind you about the discount code that I have for thenakedpharmacy.com. As my listeners or viewers of the podcast, you'll receive a 20% discount using the code PD20. Both myself, my husband, and my children are using the products and we're absolutely loving them. I really want to advocate for this brand because number one, it's owned and created by a pharmacist, Kevin Levers. He has over 35 years of experience working in the industry of natural medicines and has created his own company and provided us with so many different products to support our needs. For me personally, I absolutely love their gut health products, the magnesium for my sleep, and Saffrosun Energy, because as a mum of two very young children, working full time and juggling the day-to-day life that I have, I really need that extra support to keep me energized and going throughout the day. I also wanted to let you know that if you're not sure where to start with your supplement regime, Kevin has a team of multiple pharmacists that you can either contact by phone, email, or on social media to get some support on where to get started. Check out their website, thenakedpharmacy.com. Now let's get back to the episode. I'm really attached to the Evelina. I'm very attached to King's and the work that I do. I think there are several reasons behind the emotion. I genuinely love my job. I have such a close connection with the pharmacy team, and I've built amazing relationships within the paediatric palliative care team, and I feel so much reward working with them. I feel so valued in terms of what pharmacy has to offer their team and what I've contributed personally to the growth of the service, to the patients, my enthusiasm in general, just for, day-to-day work brings quite a lot of joy to them and to me. We do have a lot of fun. It's quite a sad specialty to be in. But, I get really emotional talking about it because in some ways I don't want to go because I really enjoy the work and I've started something with palliative care and I feel like I'm not a quitter and I feel like I'm quitting. I feel like I'm giving up because it's a little bit hard. And life is a little bit hard for me at the moment. I feel like I'm caving and I don't like that feeling of giving in or not being able to do something. I don't like that. I feel from a professional point of view, I like to chase my dreams. I like to be bold and courageous and do a lot, achieve a lot.
Just say what you just said again. Just say that line again.
I like to chase my dreams and I like to do a lot and achieve a lot.
So by quitting your job, isn't that what you're doing?
Initially, I wasn't really seeing it that way.
Okay.
Because Evelina is an amazing place to work. It's obviously such a great opportunity to be part of an organisation that's specific to children. And I love so many elements of the job. So palliative care being one of them. We're a very kind of family-oriented pharmacy department. We've only got, 40 staff. So it's a really cute, small place to work. You know everyone, their family members. what their life is like outside of pharmacy, etc. And I've gotten involved with a lot of the educational side of pharmacy. So the masterclass that happens internationally every year, the interns that fly over from all over the world to come and spend time with us. There's a lot of joy in being part of that program for me personally. And then you've got this amazing opportunity of being able to teach at King's College London at the same time and be part of a pharmacy student's journey in the growth of, in the growth of their professional journey, or pharmacists who are already qualified and then changing up their career journey and becoming prescribers. I really like being part of that. So there's so much to be grateful for and happy for. And when you look at pediatrics and education, there aren't many roles in the country where you can find this split together. So I feel very fortunate that I've spent 4 years working for them, and I wasn't quite ready to move on. But at the same time, I am ready to move on.
Okay, so then people are sitting there saying, well, if it's so great and it's so wonderful, which it is, and that's fair, why did you quit?
A lot of people know that when it comes to my life and my professional life, my home life, I have a lot going on. And the biggest question, or the number one question that I get from pharmacists, from pharmacy students, is how do you do it all? And I've always had a sense of pride when it comes to being able to achieve so much. And I've showcased how to do it through the podcast. And this is having a family, having a split role between pediatrics and education, still managing this podcast and allowing this whole brand and Pharmacist Diaries to grow in my spare time. Commuting is obviously a big part of my day-to-day life. And I've always been really good at managing all of that. However, since little Kai has come into our life and we've switched from a family of 3 to 4, things have really changed for me. Life has taken a 360 in some ways, because I think I didn't realize how much additional work a baby would be. I didn't want it to interfere with my professional goals. But absolutely it would. Of course it would. You'd be stupid to think it if it didn't interfere. But I have this mindset that I can achieve everything that I want. It's a great mindset to have. You believe that you can do everything that you set out to do, and you want to do all of these things. So you've got that motivation and drive to get it done. But when you are very sleep deprived, and this is a huge factor for me, Kai is now 14 months and we are both quite sleep deprived parents. A reality that I wasn't expecting to face, because I genuinely believed that my parenting skill and the amount that I've read, the sheer quantity of podcasts and audibles on parenting and sleep routine and managing a baby worked really well for Lilyanna. And I genuinely believed that I had skill in supporting a baby to create a really good routine, sleep really well, eat really well, breastfeed, whatever you want to say. It worked really well for her. And I said to myself as well that I only had 6 weeks of maternity leave with her, and she went straight to nursery. And I went back to 48 hours a week, night shifts, weekends, really busy hospital work, pumping on the job, that I've given myself, or I had given myself, a year of maternity leave. So how hard can it be? It can't be worse than Lily's situation. I gave myself 6 months and went back to work. So I went back to work early, which I was really excited about, and I felt ready. At that time, I genuinely felt ready to mentally return to work. I had negotiated with Evelina to say that I needed a little bit of flexibility with home working to allow me to support our family environment. But unfortunately, Kai is a little monkey and likes staying up late at night or waking up and pretending it's daytime. And that, after several months, can take its toll on you physically, emotionally, mentally. And I've been feeling quite overwhelmed. And I'm not as motivated. I don't feel the same sense of reward that I was getting from the job prior to going on maternity leave. And that's not necessarily the organisation's fault. It's a combination of factors when it comes to work-life balance. I like working from home because it allows us to or it allows me to help you with Kai. It allows me to collect Lily from school and be involved with family life. But I don't get the same sense of reward from my job at the Evelina working from home. I really don't like it. I want to be with the patients. I want to be face-to-face with palliative care and working with my team. And I get a buzz off being in a social environment, and I no longer have that. And I'm only going into Evelina the 1 day a week. And that day is a long day and it's a great day. But I don't necessarily get to do what I want to do on those days. I have to support pharmacy, whether it's covering a ward or dispensary or my clinical lead role. So part of the job is that you have to give back to the pharmacy department every week, a certain percentage of your time. But my entire Friday is usually taken up by this. So I don't necessarily get to see my palliative care patients, so I don't feel like I'm actually immersed in the job that I'm supposed to be doing. And that, again, is something else that I'm finding really hard because there's just so much to do. There's a lot of pressure with a new electronic prescribing system coming through. I would say that my memory and my ability to achieve certain tasks in a short space of time is hard for me. And I know that that's sleep deprivation. And I feel like I'm also letting you down at home because you have to parent so much and then you're not able to work as much as you would like to do. And that's impacting my mental health as well, because I feel that I want to be able to support you to achieve your dreams and follow your passions in life. And when I'm commuting long hours and running around like a headless chicken, I'm not enjoying necessarily what I'm doing. And then I leave you at home feeling like you're not that fulfilled in your work life because you're constantly having to parent and fill in the gaps. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So there's a lot of emotion. In general, it's been a really difficult journey telling my employer because my manager is my wifey at work. She's my best friend at work. So I feel like I let her down and I let the team down by putting in the resignation. But at the same time, I am very aware that it's not working for me. The situation's not working for me. And I'm not the kind of person who sits in misery. I will not sit around and just kind of hope and wait for the best. I have to be able to achieve my goals, chase my dreams, follow my passions, and do things that I love, but on my terms. And that's a value that is really important to me in my life, not just in my professional life, in my home life as well. And I'm looking forward to building something new because I don't have another job lined up. I don't have a specific permanent job that I'm switching into. This isn't a classic situation of you leave your job and you've already interviewed and, signed up to the next opportunity. Because what I've realized is I want flexibility. I want to be able to explore the world of pharmacy from a different lens. I don't want to be in a permanent job. I want to be able to have that flexibility to allow you, for example, to go out and do videography jobs. And I can say, okay, well, cool. You go and do that. I'll stay at home and parent today. And tomorrow, I'll work, or, I want that freedom to be able to do everything, enjoy my work, enjoy parenting, give you the opportunity to do the jobs that you want to do. I mean, it's really hard on the days that we both have to go into London. It's pretty much impossible without the support of my family to do drop-offs and pickups. And when they're not around, which my parents travel a lot, it's really hard for us to be able to achieve our work goals because we don't have the opportunity to drop our kids off or pick them up. We're literally stuck. And last week I got really worked up. I got really upset that you obviously had this brilliant job to go to in London and I'm supposed to be working. And I had to send what felt like 25 emails just to get people to cover me on the Friday so that I could go in on Thursday instead. And it's really stressful. It's really stressful being in the type of job where you have to effectively beg for cover for your commitments to the pharmacy department in order for you to parent. I just find that whole concept of the NHS and I find that really hard to live with because I just think life shouldn't be this challenging. Employers should be aware that actually parenting is, and juggling parenting and childcare is really hard. And organisations understand, but at the same time, you're still having to find your own cover. And everyone is so overwhelmed in their own lives and their own work and their own roles that they struggle to be able to support you. And that's not their fault either. It's just the way the system is. So those examples are great examples of how I just don't want to live that life anymore where I'm always constantly fighting for my time to do the job that I've been hired to do. Yeah.
I hear you. And I'm going to respond to that, but I want to talk about that later. But I want to get back to the career and the job. So you said you want to explore pharmacy from a different lens and you want to have the freedom to do that. So what does that look like? What does that mean? And what is that lens?
At the moment, I've got some serious choices to make. I'm a paediatric pharmacist. I work in the educational space within pharmacy and I'm a podcaster and I love pharmacy careers. I've split myself in 3 ways and I love the variety that all the roles have to offer. But I've come to the point where I think I need to simplify what's happening within my career whilst my children are really young and I want to spend more time at home and enjoy parenting 2 young children and be a part of their journey as well in life. And I've realised that splitting myself in 3 ways just is too bitty. You don't spend enough time in the one space to grow at the rate that you want to grow. For example, if you've got 5 days a week that you've agreed to work, I feel like I've got 1 day a week for the podcast, which is usually Mondays. Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm an education pharmacist, and Thursday, Friday, I'm a paediatric pharmacist. And you've got multiple email accounts, multiple colleagues that you're dealing with, just 3 different organizations that you're working for. And your mind doesn't really turn off from one of those roles on a day-to-day basis. You can't chop and change. Today, for example, I have seen an email come through and it's not my Evelina working day, but it's about a palliative care patient. And I feel obliged to answer that email on my non-working day. because I want to go above and beyond for the patient, but I also don't want to burden my colleagues with that prescription. So I'll probably end up doing it, which I want to, but it's hard because you can't just turn off from one of your organizations because you've always got something kind of cropping up in between. And I feel like when you talk about looking at pharmacy from another lens, the first thing I need to do is figure out a way to simplify my life without giving up certain elements of the job that I love so much. I don't want to stop being an educator. I don't want to stop pediatrics, and I definitely don't want to stop this podcast. But I need to transition into an interface that allows me to do all three, but not in the same format that I'm in now. I definitely want to continue with this podcast. People have seen it grow and develop, and it's now officially a business. It's now something that we're doing not just out of passion and joy, but we want it to grow, and we want it to be an amazing platform for people who are starting their journey within pharmacy, or really experienced pharmacists who want to learn about what other people are doing within the pharmacy space. And the feedback that I get from people who are tuning into the episodes really keeps me motivated. And everything to do with this podcast screams creativity and innovation, and it never feels like work. And that's really important. I find that's a really important point, is when I get onto my laptop to do anything related to Pharmacist Diaries, it just feels like fun. And that's how I know how much I enjoy it. It never feels like a job. And when you wake up in the morning, and if I was given 5 days a week to work on this, I'd be in a really happy place. I know that. I absolutely know that. But I'm not willing to go 5 days for the podcast because I genuinely love being a pharmacist. And I think there is a lot of value in me practicing pharmacy alongside a careers podcast, of course. So what I've decided to do is I've requested to continue working for King's in the education space. How long this is going to be, I'm uncertain at the moment, but what I've asked them to do is to allow me to work on their talent bank, which allows me to get paid per hour rather than a permanent position. So this gives me the flexibility to choose my hours and days that work for our family. But also, the best part about it is, I think, I get to just go into the university and I face students every single day and just teach. And I cannot wait to just go into work, teach and leave. And I think that is a transition towards simplification for me, because there is a lot of admin, timetabling, politics, emails, meetings, a lot of creative work with building workbooks, for example, for placements, liaising with other hospitals to build those placements and find new organizations who will take our students on for a learning experience. And all of those things are really valuable in terms of the student journey. You gain a lot of skill from doing that work behind the scenes. But I think for the last couple of years, I've done so much behind the scenes work and such limited teaching that I've realized how much I'm missing it. At the end of the day, I took this job so I could face students every day and teach all the time. But I keep getting given tasks where I'm in the background, which people know that I've got a skill to create things, build workbooks, create assessments, things like that. I've done a lot of work with the King's. It's a platform that students use called Keats. It's like a blackboard effectively for university students. And I've done a lot of work behind the scenes on building that for certain programs, all things I like doing. So you need to be very organized. It needs to be very neat and tidy. It needs to be easy for students to find and navigate the program once they're on it. All things, again, I'm good at. But I really miss being in front of students and getting that joy and that feedback and sharing my journey as a pharmacist and sharing my experience in the hospital or working abroad and bringing those stories to light to the students, because that really puts things into perspective for them when you educate them on consultation skills or communication or how to counsel a patient. How do you look at an interaction? I can give a real life example and not just a textbook example. And when you share a story with students, it resonates really well, rather than just giving facts all the time or reading off slides. And I'm in my element when I'm in front of students, and that's also really exciting. So that, for me, that's a big simplification, that I can choose my hours, and when I go into work, I am face to face with students the entire time, and that I know is going to make me really happy. So that's kind of the first step. And I haven't decided how long I'm going to continue working for King's. Number one, they need to have money to be able to pay me, depending on how long I work with them. At the moment, I'm going to work from basically November till at least April, 2 days a week. And that's just teaching, and I can't wait. So I need to still consider what my pediatric role is going to look like. And I'm really fortunate that the podcast has given me so many connections with different pharmacists and different teams, different organisations. And I have been super fortunate when I worked at Stoke Mandeville Hospital covering someone's maternity leave, and that was a part education contract, but also it's where I fell in love with peds, because I covered neonates and I covered the paediatric service there. And that's where I discovered this split role. And when I applied for the Evelina, I worked for Jane Ballinger at that time. And a few months ago, of course, she reached out to me, and I did a series on the Great Ormond Street team and did several podcasts, and we went on tour for the first time. And I've always really felt inspired by Jane. I really like the enthusiasm she has for pharmacy. I really enjoy the fact that she motivates you, wants you to chase your dreams. If you have any ideas, she's really up for listening and grabbing that opportunity and seeing what you're good at and finding a role that fits your skills and your passions and your joy. And when I worked with her on the podcast, I felt really valued. I felt like she really understood what Pharmacist Diaries and the podcast is about. And she wanted to help me to showcase her team, but showcase my platform. And she genuinely believes in what I'm doing and wants to encourage me to continue doing it. And that, again, when you're looking at an employer and you're working with someone, I've learned over the years that this is really important. And that's not to say that the team at Evelina and the team at King's aren't doing that, but there's a connection that I have with Jane that I haven't necessarily experienced with anyone else except Fergal Cummins from National Ambulance. Like, he was a mentor for me. And I feel like when I connect with Jane and I have conversations with her about work and my professional life, I get an instant buzz off her. And I think that when you've got that sort of connection, or you've got a gut feeling and you've got that instinct, that you should roll with it, that you should chase it. So I've had multiple conversations with her over the past few months. I've shared what's not working for me in terms of my current work situation, the importance of family life and being at home, having the flexibility, potentially finding a role that allows me that kind of hybrid opportunity where I don't have to be in the hospital all the time. And if I need to work from home, whether it's child sickness or a pickup or attending Lily's Christmas play or sports day, that I have the opportunity to do that without the stress of finding cover for my current positions. And that's really hard to do in a patient-facing role, because there are certain commitments with patients that don't allow you that flexibility. And this is where I feel a little bit stuck, because I really want to continue with my journey in palliative care. And because there are a limited number of pharmacists in the country who do paediatric palliative care, I really like the community. I like how small it is, and I love how we can rely on each other and help each other to grow. And I also love that when you look at diseases or specific conditions in specialist groups, when you look at adults like heart failure or any sort of cardiac condition, there is so much evidence and so much growth and so much money and resource and time being put in to support those conditions, to gather more information to support the patient journey. But I really like that in palliative care, specifically with peds, there is so much growth that's to come. And we're only just starting to develop a pharmacy network where we can build and grow upon what we've got already and share and collaborate and be innovative and make massive changes to our patients as if it's like a new specialty. And I know that that part of the role is really exciting for me. So the Association of Paediatric Palliative Medicine, it's called APPM. We've got a group, there's consultants, nurses, pharmacists, and the pharmacists have created a little network. And I absolutely love the network. We've been supporting each other with ideas, the website, developing the formulary for our patients, looking at guidelines that will support on a national scale. And being part of that community has been really rewarding. And I don't really want to let that patient side of my role go. However, temporarily, I think it's okay for me not to be in that clinical position. You're not going to forget your knowledge or forget the skills related to direct patient care. They don't just go away. But right now in my life where I feel a lot of overwhelm, I think it's okay for me to simplify not being in that space, which allows me to work from home or have that hybrid model where I can go in when I want to and it works for our family life, but not feel the need to always be there. Because I enjoy the social side of working with a team. So I want to be in work, but I don't have to be there. And I think that's really important for me at this time, because if I've had a really bad night of sleep, I don't wake up feeling that dread feeling that I've got to travel 2 hours to get to work. So I've had a lot of conversation with Jane. She loves the fact that I get a lot of joy and reward from an innovative role and something that's in the digital space. So she's allowing me an opportunity where I can work on specific projects for Great Ormond Street Hospital and build a contract that allows me to explore a variety of opportunities within paediatrics. So I'm going to have a look at maybe some educational work. I'm also going to look at what the digital team do and whether or not there's something that I can work on with them. I am going to explore palliative care because I love it, and it's a variety on what I'm doing at the moment because there's oncology patients, which we don't have at the Evelina, and I'm quite excited to be part of that journey and explore my clinical expertise and work with a pharmacist who does palliative care 5 days a week, and he's a legend. So again, you've got a role model to work with, and that really keeps you motivated. And at the same time, I get to see whether or not I like working there. Do I like the team? Do I like the values that they have as an organisation? Do I feel motivated every day when I go into work? Do I feel like the team constantly want to grow and challenge themselves and be innovative and do research and educate other people? I want to see that before I commit to a full-time position or a part-time position, which is permanent. And now that I've made the decision to resign from my role and I'm building something new from scratch, which gives me a lot more than I was able to do in my current job, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to what's to come. I do feel quite nervous about it because I'm effectively moving into self-employed life and being a pharmacist, a locum. But I'm hoping to do it for 6 months, max a year, And hopefully I will find something that I'm very passionate about, that I know I can do this permanently. Kai is more settled in his routine, sleeping through the night, and we feel a little bit more comfort. Maybe we have a little bit more finance to send him to nursery a little bit more. And that will give us a little bit more flexibility with allowing me to then push forward in my career. So yeah, I'm looking forward to an open space to figure out where I want to take my journey.
There's a lot of people listening to that feeling quite scared. Like that's quite scary to a lot of people, I think, giving up a career. You're not giving up your career, sorry, quitting your job, a secure full-time job.
Security for sure. And people have asked me, what are you going to do? What do you mean you don't have another permanent role lined up? You're just going to quit and just wing it?
It's the norm, isn't it? It's funny, we're so conditioned to normal. And one thing I've learned since COVID is there's no normal. Anything goes. And there are lots of people, you know this because you have surrounded yourself outside of work in a community of people online, virtually, and in real life, who are doing what you just outlined there, chasing their dreams, trying to carve a life where they can work and have that balance of family life and that being entrepreneurs. You've surrounded yourself, so there are people that can do that. But to a lot of people, that world doesn't exist, and it feels. And I feel maybe potentially, again, I shouldn't speak for everyone, but within a job like a career like pharmacy, medicine, doctors as well, nurses, where it's kind of like people can feel trapped. People can feel stuck, that they have to do this. And as you mentioned earlier, the reasons why you are quitting, there's a lot of challenges in all jobs, not just in what you've experienced. And people feel trapped and they can't see a way out, and they just have to do it for the security and for the money, for the pension. There's that side of things as well. So there's a lot to be said for being able to see beyond that and trying to create something that's not there, right? That's exactly what you're doing, and exactly what I'm trying to do as well, and have done. Not trying to do, I've done it. I should give myself credit, and it's fun and it's exciting. And yes, there are unknowns, but there are always unknowns. There's always going to be, things that happen in life that weren't expected. So if you can create some of that unexpectedness yourself, almost kind of preempt it by thinking about the things that you're doing and doing things with intention. You mentioned when you work on the podcast, it feels like fun. Every time I go on a client project, it feels like I'm having a day out. Literally, I feel like I'm having just the time of my life, and I get to do the thing that I love, which is capture it in my camera, and then I get to edit it, and that feels like fun. And I know that because when Lily watches me, it looks like fun to her as well. So I think it's important to have that, something like that in everyone's life. It doesn't matter if it's something you're getting paid for or not, right? This is important. There's a reel that I watched from Daryl Edwards, Fitness Explorer, about fun and how we're not having enough fun in our lives. So having fun, something that feels like it's not work, as you said, and then the potential to monetize that as well and get some reward is great. So
don't get me wrong, I have fear, but I'm not afraid of fear. I won't allow fear to take over and not allow me to try. Worst case scenario, I do what I do, it doesn't work out, and I will find a permanent job. Worst case scenario.
And that's what I've always said.
It's cool. Because pharmacy does have so much to offer in terms of roles. There's so many opportunities. And I'm also very fortunate that Stoke Mandeville Hospital is a very short journey away from our home, and they have multiple positions. It may not be my perfect scenario of paediatrics and education, but if it comes down to it and I need a job, I'll get a job. So I'm okay with the unknown and a little bit of fear. I have written down in my notebook the pros and cons of what I'm doing, and there are so many more benefits. It kind of outweighs the fear. So it's allowing me to
focus on
that. And I haven't said as well that Great Ormond Street is so much closer to home for us. It's one train journey. And once you get off the train, you walk or a 5-minute bike ride. So I'm cutting out 40 minutes each way every day. And that in itself is a massive win. Evelina is obviously in Waterloo, and from Euston to Waterloo, it genuinely takes me 40 to 45 minutes, which is crazy because it's so close. I could run it in the same time as going on the train and walking. And knowing that I'm much closer to Euston mentally because of all the issues that we get with train strikes, and I don't have another way of getting home unless I get on that train. Or I do have other ways, but it's completely inconvenient and time consuming and long. So it just gives me a little bit of relief, because going into London every day is quite stressful. There's so many strikes at the moment and cancellations and train issues. It really freaks me out. And I want to remove that from my life. So that's a massive benefit. And I've had some really deep conversations with Jane over the last few months, just about work and life in general. And because she values your time and what you do with it, and she also values your skill and tries to find roles that will suit those, as well as what you're passionate about, it's making me want to explore what she has to offer and what her team has to offer. And I'm really looking forward to that opportunity. Something as simple as there are some grants that have recently come out through THET. So they're an organisation which have linked with NHS England to give up to £50,000 worth of grants to partner up with a country in Africa. So the October grant is Zambia, Uganda or South Africa. And there are opportunities to focus some of that partnership on paediatrics and educating healthcare professionals or the community on peds. Dream job. I mentioned it to Jane, and boom, we've got a team together within a day. And this is what I'm talking about. I need to surround myself with people who are on that same journey as me. And the people within her team who are getting involved, I said, I don't know where to start. I really want to do it. I really want to get involved with this partnership. I really want to do research. I really want to travel. I am, dream. I want to travel and be able to work as a pharmacist. But it's quite overwhelming figuring out how to do that. And I need some support from people who are excellent researchers. Off-ran. Straight up. I'm in. I'll start the application today. One email. And she was so engaged and motivated and ready to help me. I mean, how cool is that? How lucky am I that I found people who are really motivated and enjoy pharmacy and want to achieve some similar goals that I do. And they're mentors because they've done so much research in their time that now I'm surrounded by professionals within pharmacy who are role models for me, people who inspire me and motivate me and want to see me grow as well. And that, for me, is really exciting. And I'm looking forward to that change. And yeah, I hope we can make it work. It might not, but because it's a last minute application, but I'm excited that I have the opportunity to work with people who also would like to support me. That's important for me.
Watch this space.
Yeah.